This week's In Focus session, we're going to be discussing the best money mindset upgrades that you can implement into your life. Because this is an area of my life that I've always struggled with. I've always had a bit of an up and down relationship with money. And I wanted to share with you guys some of the learnings that I've been making over the past year or two around my mindset around money and how it's really implemented and changed things for me in my life. Hello and welcome to my channel. My name's Alex. I'm a coach. And this podcast is all about self-development and helping you to live a happier and more fulfilling life. There may well have to be a part two because I'm continually learning about this stuff and continually looking to upgrade my knowledge, upgrade my mindset around money. So there may well be a part two. So if there's something that you want to hear in part two that you haven't heard in this episode, let me know. DM me on Instagram @I'm Alex Manzi, and let me know what you want to hear in part two. So the reason that I wanted to do this episode today is because I think money and talking about money is still a bit of a taboo subject. We don't really talk about it with our family, our friends, our colleagues. It's all a bit hush hush. And that's really because over time, we've learned that money's like this thing that basically gives us a status in society. If you have less money, then you don't have a high status. And if you have more money, you have a higher status. And it makes us buy into this sort of classist system that we live in. And money plays a big role in that. And our mindset around money plays a big role in that. So I wanted to share on this episode some of the stuff that has really helped me in the past few years upgrade my mindset when it comes to money. Because my relationship with money has been very up and down. I'll give some background on that. It's like I grew up in a family in North London. Obviously, being in London, straight away, you have a certain amount of privilege. I grew up in a family where we were comfortable with like we didn't really have struggles when it came to money. We were comfortable. We could go on nice holidays. My family had a family restaurant which was fairly successful. So I've always been around money and seeing what money can do and what it can and what it can buy you and the things it can do for you. But I think at the same time there's a lot of, like I said, hush hush around it, and we don't really talk a lot about it. And the point I wanted to make with this whole episode is that it doesn't matter how much money you earn or have, right? There are things you can do to upgrade your mindset around money, which are going to help you have a better relationship with it, which is what I've been doing over the past couple of years. I think I mentioned on an episode a couple of years ago how my relationship with money is very off. It's I don't really have a lot of understanding or belief around it. It's very I feel very tense. Even having this conversation with you guys today, I feel quite tense about it. But I thought it was really important because it's such an important part of our society. And the more blocks that we have in place, the more we're holding ourselves back with our own money mindset. So I wanted to share the upgrades that I've been working on that have really helped me over the last couple of years. So the first one that I wanted to come to is the one that we're going to hear everywhere, right? Money doesn't equal happiness. And this is true because we put a level of happiness onto money. We think, okay, by the time I earn £50,000 a year, £100,000 a year, £1 million a year, I'll be happy. But it doesn't work like that because money isn't something that can bring you happiness. The way that you feel about money is dictated by the thinking and the stories that you have around it. It's not an either or situation. It's not like if you have money, you can be happy. And if you don't have money, you can't be happy. There's cases of both. There's cases of people who do have money and they're not happy. There's cases of people who don't have money and they're happy. So it's not an either or situation, right? It's about understanding your own mindset and stories that you have around money. And I'll know, I can tell you now that in the last couple of years since starting my business, full time, my income's been down based on what I've been earning in the previous years, working in social media, working at the BBC, doing jobs for Spotify. My income's been down significantly for the first year, especially when I was full time with coaching. And it was the happiest I've ever been. And that's nothing to do with the amount of money that I was earning, right? But if I told myself that I needed money in order to be happy, then you can see how I would feel this can't be a good year. I need more money. And that's where we have that feeling, that burning desire to always want more, because we're chasing something that money can't give us, which is happiness, because the happiness only comes through the thinking that we have in the moment. And I'll give you a really funny story. So there's a client of mine who I'm sure he won't mind me sharing this story, but he's based in New York. And we were talking one day about, how much he was earning, and he's just recently transitioned from this really good job into a startup company. And he was telling me one of the reasons that he decided to make the shift was because he got himself working, I think, 8 years for this particular company. And he got himself into a really good position where he was earning, I think it was $250,000 a year. It's a large amount of money not to be sniffed at. And what he said to me was he realized that he got to this position where he had more money than he ever thought he would have. And really what he realized was that the way he felt, his level of happiness didn't change at all. It didn't change. The only thing that changed was that he could have a slightly nicer apartment in New York. And this is the one-liner he told me. Is like he would be able to buy Aesop hand soap instead of Dove hand soap. And he was like, that was the only thing that changed in my life. The way I felt about myself, the way I felt in general didn't change because I was earning more money. And I realized that I was chasing this idea of money and earning more, thinking it was going to bring me happiness. And instead it hasn't. And this is one of the big reasons why he decided to shift and go and work for this startup company with a couple of friends of his. And he's earning significantly less, but he's far happier because he's doing something that he's really enjoys and is really passionate about. And the money isn't associated to it, but the earning potential of that job is still high. But that doesn't mean that's the thing that's bringing him the happiness, right? But he realized that chasing the money and chasing this endless cycle of this system of you have to stay in this job, you have to work your way up the ladder to earn X amount of money so that you can be happy, so that you can live a good life. It's nonsense. That's not how it works. You can live a good and happy life right now, regardless of how much money you earn. Fact, right? It's got nothing to do, happiness has got nothing to do with the amount of money you earn. It's entirely to do with the thinking that you have about money or you have in any moment in your life. That's what brings you happiness, not something outside of you. Just want to take a quick moment to shout out the sponsors of this episode, London Media Lounge. They're a West London based studio space. They have recording studios, they have YouTube spaces, they have green screens, and they'll also handle content production, social media management, anything that you're looking for. They're really easy to work with, and they'll create a bespoke content production package just for you. So why don't you save time and let the professionals handle your content business? To get in touch with them, head over to londonmedialounge.co.uk and let them know that Alex sent you. The second thing that I wanted to talk about, the second money mindset upgrade that you can have, is understanding the value versus the cost of something. And this is something that I really saw significantly change in my life over the last couple of years. Like having invested in my own coach to help with my coaching business, I had to pay him a large sum of money, a sum that I was quite uncomfortable paying. But the reason that I was willing to do so is because I could see the value in having him as my coach for a year on what it's going to bring me in terms of learning and helping me to grow my business. It's a value that, to be honest, I can't really put a price on. It's invaluable to me because the learnings that I'm making are helping me grow my business in the way that I want, as well as helping me develop myself as a person. I can't put a price on that. But I had a lot of resistance around paying a sum of money because I was only looking at the cost. And this is what we do, is we only look at the cost of something and we don't look at the value of it. And the difference is, right, if you go to a shop and you buy a £500 jacket, to me, that's quite costly because that jacket, I can probably get a jacket that can do the same thing, keep me warm, keep me dry, for a quarter of the price, maybe even less. So it's a big cost for me. It's not really adding value to my life in a sense, right? It's just a cost. Whereas if I was to take that £500 and maybe go, right, I'm going to go and pay for 10 or 12 PT sessions with someone, that has a lot higher value for me because I'm investing the money in myself and my health. So looking at your outlays and the way that you're approaching the way you're spending money from the place of, is this bringing me value versus is it just a cost, right? If you look at what is the value in this thing that I'm spending my money on, be it a holiday, be it clothes, be it going out for dinner, be it, buying books, investing in courses, whatever it may be, PTs, whatever it is, right? What is the value of that to you? And is the value that you're getting from that thing more to you than the amount of money that you're paying for it? If the answer is yes, then it's probably quite a good choice. But the problem is we don't see things like that all the time because we just look at the cost. If you look at the cost of a holiday and it's £5,000, you're going to think, wow, that's a big cost. And it is, because you know that going on that holiday, you're going to feel relaxed and you're going to maybe have some nice food and some nice drinks in a lovely location. But you could also spend significantly less elsewhere on a holiday and have a similar experience, because the experience that you're having of that holiday isn't because of the surroundings. Again, it's down to your thinking in that moment, in that place. So understanding, okay, what is the value that I'm getting from something when it comes to money, and what is the value I'm getting, is a far more important question to ask than what is the cost. Because if you just look at the cost, everything's going to look costly or not costly. Whereas if you look at the value, you'll start to see the things that are more valuable or less valuable to you. And that's a really important thing to come to. The third money mindset upgrade that I wanted to share with you guys, it's a very simple one. You've probably heard it before, probably from your parents, maybe from a friend or two, but it's the importance of budgeting. Like, understand your budget. And what I say is, like, understand for yourself, right? When I was working full time, I was very strict with myself, and like, I knew my budget. I knew I was getting, let's call it £2,000 a month paid into my account on the first of the month every month, right? Cool. That's my budget for the month. From that budget, what you want to look at is, okay, how much are my bills going to cost? Okay, they're going to cost, say, I don't know, £800, right? Just throwing figures out there. £800. That leaves me with £1,200. Okay, so from that £1,200, I might want to save 10%. So that's £120. I'm going to put it somewhere. I might want to save that for investing or put it into a savings account. I might want to save another 10% of that £1,200, put it into another savings account, which is going to be like a holiday budget for the year. And then the rest of the money that's left over, I can't figure out the maths live. I'm really bad at just doing it off the top of my head. But the rest of what's left over is what you've got to spend and budget for yourself for the rest of the month. You know, paying food, going out, etc., etc., etc. Right? If you can really understand your budget and how to budget yourself in a really good way, like, you will never feel like you're running out of money, because you'll know exactly where you're spending your money and why and what on. And it's really important, because we can fall into the trap of, like, I call it the credit card trap of, like, oh, I've got a credit card, it's got a £3,000 limit on, I'm going to go and spend all that money and I'll just pay it off slowly. That's not doing you any favors, because that's not money you have. And that's something that's really important to understand, is when you're spending money on a credit card, it's not money you have. It's not money you own. It's money that you now owe. And there's a big difference, right? Because you could be paying off that bill for the next 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months, but you're going to be paying a lot more than what you've actually paid out, right? And that's a choice. Right? I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but what I'm saying is like, falling into the credit card trap, thinking that you have money that you don't, is a really easy way to always be paying off debt. And that's one thing that you don't want to be doing, is always feeling like you're paying off debt. And I've been there. Like, I've been quite good with my credit cards. Like, the way that I think that you should use a credit card is for, obviously, safety of making purchases online. So if I want to make a significant purchase, like pay for some flights or an online course, I'll pay for it on my credit card. And then what I will do straight away is I'll transfer the money from my account, my bank account, and pay off the credit card bill. I don't want to be sitting on a negative credit card bill. I want to keep it up to date. I want to keep it paid off, because it's really important to stay on top of that. Really important to know what money you're spending and why, and not just spending money because you think you have it when you actually don't. Because I got stuck in this trap of paying, I can't remember what I paid for, but I had I think it was like 500 or 600 pounds. It wasn't really a lot of money, but I paid on my credit card. And what I was doing was, every month I was just paying off the minimum, which I think was £25 every month. And then a couple of months I'd miss it, so then I'd have to pay 50. And what I realized was happening, I kept paying this minimum payment, 25, 20, and I wasn't actually paying anything off. Like, what was happening is the interest was going up, and I was just paying more and more over time. And it's like, if you're going to wait for a big payment in order to pay off a credit card or something like that, it's not going to happen, because you're just gonna you're gonna get into the trap of continually paying it off. And that's one thing that I've noticed that wasn't very helpful for me. And I just want to share that with you guys, because I feel it's really important that we don't get stuck in that trap in this day and age, because it's so easy to access credit cards. You can have 4 or 5 credit cards at a time. You can be paying stuff on Klarna, so you're paying £100 for something, but you're only paying £30 now. Then you're going to pay £30 the next one. That's still credit. You're still racking up a credit. And it's like, if you're racking up a credit, you're spending money that you don't own. And that's the most important thing to recognize is, am I spending the money that I have, or am I spending money that I think I have? And it's a big difference, because it's really easy to get into that trap. And that's how people get into big trouble with like paying off debts, is that they're spending money that they don't actually own on things that they think they want. But then now they're having to pay the debt off, over time. So learning to budget is really important. One of the best things I ever did when it came to budgeting was, I didn't look at my bank account for like 3 months, right? I remember I just spent my money, I went around spending my money as I did. And then at the end of the 3 months, what I did is I sat down at my laptop, I opened up a spreadsheet, and I put, let's just call it January, February, March, right? Month 1, month 2, month 3. And I went through my bank account. I looked at every transaction that came in and out of my account. I made a column, month 1 in, month 1 out, right? And I put in every transaction. I kind of tried to group them. So like shopping, like food, coffees, travel, except you get it right, bills, etc. And I did that for the 3 months. And what that gave me was a really, really clear picture on where I was spending my money, how and where I was spending my money. And I could see just by looking at that, wow, I'm spending like, I'm going to make up a figure here, but like £300 a month just on lunch every day, because I was buying lunch when I was at work. And I thought, wow, like actually I worked out, if I could buy lunch from the supermarket, I could prepare some meals. It's going to cost me maybe £50 a week instead of £100 a week. Okay, so that's gonna save me an extra £150 a month, or whatever it worked out to be, right? I'm just using arbitrary figures, but £150 a month, right? Over a year, that's like £2,000 nearly. That's a lot of money. So if you're understanding like how you're budgeting self and where you're spending your money, having a system like that where you can actually look at your monthly spend in a way where it's really clear on what you're spending your money on, you'll be able to see where you can spend less money. Can you spend less money on shopping, for like buying stuff on Amazon, or buying clothes that you don't really need? Can you spend less money on subscriptions that you don't really have, like that you don't really use? Amazon Prime, Netflix, iCloud, Google Cloud, this account, that account. Like where are the places where you're spending money where you probably don't really need to, and you could instead be saving that money for something else? Put it into a savings account, invest it, save for a holiday, however you want to do it. Save to take your mum and dad out, or your partner out for a nice meal once a month. Whatever you want to do with it, it's your choice, right? There's no right way to do it, but budgeting and having a real understanding of the amount of money that you're spending every month is so important to understanding and bettering your relationship with your money, because you'll start to understand like, okay, this is how I'm currently spending my money. This is how I want to spend my money, right? And this kind of takes me on to the final piece, the final money mindset upgrade that you can do, is to continually learn about how to better your relationship with money. Like I'm reading this book at the minute, Overcoming Under-Earning, and it's all about money mindset. It's all about understanding your relationship with money, like how you can take those blocks away, how you can break down some of the thinking and the beliefs that you have around money. And it's really important. And there's tons of stuff out there. There's tons of other books. I interviewed Emma Mumford a couple years ago on the podcast. She's got a book called Positively Wealthy. There's a free book called Millionaire Mindset from Lewis Howes that you can I don't know if it's still available, but a few years ago you could get it for free. Like there's things you can do to read up and learn about money and money mindset and managing your money to help you better this relationship. One of the things that I'm always doing is looking into because I'm interested in it, what are ways that I can invest my money in a smart way that isn't just putting my money in a savings account? Can I invest in, things like crypto or stocks, or is there a portfolio that I can buy or follow that is just going to be like automatic savings and investment account that's just every month like £100 goes in there or something. Like, it's very important to like understand these things, because there is a ton of resources out there. There's a ton of apps, there's a ton of programs that you can use. I'll give you one example, and I'm not saying this is something you have to do, but it's an option that is out there. Just to give you an example, you can use an app like eToro, which is a stock trading app, and you can go and look at some of the top traders on the app. You can look at their portfolios. You can look at, are they investing more in tech stocks? Are they investing more in financial stocks? Are they investing more in retail stocks? Whatever it is, right? You can see their portfolio, and you can decide to copy their portfolio. So basically, you put a pot of money into your account, and it basically mimics the trades that they're making. And it's an open thing. It's not like you're doing it on the slide. That like they set up their own account to allow you to do this. So you don't have to worry about doing the trades and looking into the stocks and what you want to buy and what you don't want to buy, and when you sell and when you don't sell. Like, they're doing it for you. They're professionals. They're very successful in some cases, and you can do your own research on them and see, how their trading history is, what are the reviews from other people, how engaged are they with the people who do copy their portfolio. Like, there's and that's just one example. Like, there's so many different apps and programs out there that you can look into that are going to help you with this stuff and help you learn. There's a ton of free resources on YouTube. There's tons of people out there who are giving out really good information on money and investment and how to better understand your relationship with money. And in fact, one of the reasons that I wanted to do this episode today is because this morning in the gym, I was listening to one of my new favorite podcasts, which is called The New Wave Entrepreneur by Daniel Di Piazza. And he did a whole episode on money mindset, sharing his learnings. And he's got tons of episodes on the podcast at the minute talking about money mindset, how to understand money management better, as well as other stuff. He talks about crypto and NFTs and personal development and all sorts of stuff. And it's really interesting because I'm actively looking to learn more and more and more. And the more that I learn about it, the more understanding like how I can have better ownership of my money. Because at the end of the day, this is all this comes down to, is like having a better understanding and ownership over your own money rather than it just going to waste. Because essentially that's what we're doing. If we're paying off a credit card bill every month, a lot of that money is just going to waste. The what you're paying in interest is just going to waste. It's money you're not going to see again. Whereas if you're being smart and you're learning, you're educating yourself, you can look to invest and save and spend your money in smarter ways that are going to be far more valuable for you in the long term rather than costly. So the thing that I would like to finish on and add on top of that is that let's use this discussion like to have with our friends, with our family. Like, again, it's a very taboo subject. If you can start being really, you don't have to go out to your friends and be like, hey, look, this is how much money I'm earning, what should I do? But talk to your friends about it. How do you invest your money? How do you save your money? Have you learned anything interesting? What resources are you looking into? Speak to your parents, speak to people you know at work who may be into similar things. Find people on Twitter, on YouTube, on Instagram who are really good at sharing things that you can do to understand more for yourself. Like, there is a ton of resources out there, but this has to start with wanting to take ownership for yourself. And it also has to come from a place of like, how can I talk to my friends and family about it? Because they might be thinking the same, like, oh, this is too scary, I don't want to talk to anyone about it. But like, it's a really good opportunity to start breaking that taboo. Start talking about your money. Start seeing your money as a tool, as energy. That's how I like to see it. I like to see money as energy. Sometimes you need to give energy out in order to receive. Like, going back to the example of paying my coach, I was paying him with a sum of money as energy in order to receive energy back on how I can learn more about my business and grow my business and, understand more about myself and shift some of the thinking blocks I have and limiting self-beliefs and all of that stuff. That is an exchange of energy. I'm paying him financially with this financial energy, and he's given me his time and his physical energy back to help me understand more about myself, and it's proving very valuable for me. I'm seeing a great return on my investment. And I'm not saying that everyone has to go out and invest in a coach in that way, but there are ways where you can start to see your money as being a source of energy that you give out in order to receive. And I'll give you another example. I was very skeptical about wanting to pay someone to do editing for me for like the podcast and the videos and stuff like that, and had the conversation with my coach, and he was like, well, sometimes you've got to think of it as like an energy trade, right? Do you want to give your energy and your time to doing these edits every week, which is taking you, it was taking me like 5 or 6 hours all in? Or do you want to give some energy in terms of finance to someone else so that they can repay you with their energy to do that work for you, and then you're getting the energy and that space back in your week? And like, I wasn't seeing it like that. I was just seeing it as, oh, it's just a cost. Like, I'm going to have to pay someone like, a few £100 or whatever it was. And it's like, that's an expense. It's very costly. But when I started to see it from a place of like, actually it's an exchange of energy, like my understanding and my mindset around it shifted. And this is what I want for you guys to see, is like, how can you shift your mindset around money to seeing it as a tool, as an energy that you use in order to receive energy back. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode, and I hope that you found it helpful. If you did, I would love to hear what you got from it. To do so, hit me up on Instagram. Let me know what's your one biggest learning that you've taken from this episode, and DM it to me. Let me know what that is, at I am Alex Manzi on Instagram. And like I said at the start, there's probably going to be a part 2. By the time I finish this book, there's probably going to be a part 2 that I'm going to do. So if there's something that you would like to hear more about when it comes to upgrading your money mindset, like, let me know what that is. Again, DM me on Instagram at I'm Alex Manzi. Let me know what you'd like to hear in part 2, and I'd be happy to try and include it or answer your questions via the DMs. And if you like what you heard and you know someone who you think is going to really benefit from hearing this episode, then be sure to send it to them, share them the link or a screenshot. So it's really important that we start to spread positive vibes and messages of episodes like this. As you know, I started this podcast to help inspire a positive change in people, and you can be a part of that by sharing this episode with someone you know today. So I want to thank London Media Lounge for producing and editing this episode. I also want to thank Hobgoblin Beats for providing the sick music that you hear. And as always, I want to thank you for spending time with me today, and I will see you for the next episode.